Hello and welcome to Sage's Table Talks. I'm Sage. This is Fox. There's kind of a table here. Let's talk about role-playing games.
You can't really see the table, but still.
You also can't see the table when I record the other ones either.
That's fair.
Take my word for it. There's a table here. I know I'm asking a lot of you.
Imagine a table. Anyway.
Unfortunately, I'm ready to go. Anyway, so honestly, I decided to do this because by the time we recorded another video, which will come out after this one technically, and by the time I get home, it'll be like 2 in the morning, and I will be too tired to record. So I asked him if he wanted to sit here and share the various, not even necessarily ones we've played, but ones that we have played with, and some of the just fun characters we've enjoyed. Tabletop role-playing games. And I actually was really thinking of this character today, because just thinking about weird, outlandish characters. And weird, outlandish settings. Because everybody wants to talk about, the D&D settings of Barovia and Faerun. And I was like, where's Eberron in this discussion? I love Eberron.
Technically part of the D&D worlds, but they don't mention
They don't do much with that. And that reminded me of when our friend was running his Eberron campaign. And our cleric Robo-Priest. We had a guy, he didn't play with us often, so the character often got kind of proxied by other players, which honestly just fit the robot thing even more. But we thought it would just be funny to have... It was a Warforged.
Basically, living robots.
Eberron has a more spellpunk vibe than a lot of the other stuff. Yeah. So the game has, like, airships powered by fire elementals and a big train powered by lightning spirits. And one of the things in them are Warforged, which are living machines. And we just thought it would be funny if we had a robot who was out there proselytizing. I have calculated 14 different reasons why you should worship the Silver Flame, all of which I will list now, in order of importance.
A Deus Ex Machina, almost.
Yes.
But, right. He's a fun character. Now, it's like, moving on to one of mine, then, I guess. It's like, this was not a character I played, but it was a character I witnessed, and I adored this guy. He was Warwick the White of the House of Morgannon. And it's like, on surface, he described his character as a rich, pompous asshole from a family of rich, pompous assholes. But his character was, the reason why I love this character was he's a lot more deep and nuanced than that.
Mm-hmm.
I akin him closer to Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter. And it's like, he isn't...
For the fans at home who aren't familiar with Harry Potter lore, why don't you explain? Not me, I know all about Harry Potter lore, but for the people who don't.
Well, before your act here, I was about to. So basically, he isn't necessarily a jerk, but he's expected to be by his family.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's just an attitude that he's supposed to carry himself, so he does put on this act. He's not as big of a jerk in truth as actually... But the real gimmick, the real thing I love, is as everything is about how his family thinks about him. So, he has this obsession with obtaining titles and accolades.
Okay.
And trying to be as awesome as possible, basically. And it turns into one of those things like, he's a jerk, but he's right. He's a jerk, but he's like, yeah, it turns out to get the job done and all that stuff. But when he adds a new title or accolade, he adds it to his introduction.
Okay.
He's Warwick the White of the House of Morgannon, Slayer of this. It just adds on. And to the point that he was a wizard, but he had one level in Bard.
Okay.
Because this was all performative. And his introduction, he turned into basically like this annoyance for people who would face him, because he wouldn't stop till he listed all the entire list, and it kind of became an almost inspiration thing or / vicious mockery. I just love the idea of the character. He's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually talked about him on the channel before, and I've used it, and I actually want to also very quickly talk about a character you made but never got a chance to play. But one of my favorite characters was Drake Rose, and he was a bard, and he was Drake Rose, world famous pirate. Well, then why haven't I ever heard of you? But one thing about Drake Rose that I liked was the ability, because with you as DMing, that let me be the stereotypical bard without being the stereotypical bard. It's like, oh no, he'll hit on anything that moves, but he always fails because it wouldn't be funny if he just constantly that's not funny to just constantly get laid. And anytime he used his charm for any other reason, whether it was to lie his way out of a situation, to cheat an old man out of his treasure map, it worked. It was specifically when he was hitting on someone that was when it failed. So he got to be that I'll hit on anything that moves type bard, but he never...
I don't even think we had you roll. I think we just
decided that when he hit on someone, it just wasn't going to work because...
But you had like this weird... I remember you had this like weird thing. That when Drake Rose said, "Don't worry, I have a plan," it would work.
Yes. Every time he said, "Don't worry."
We had you roll for that.
And yeah, I would roll high every time I had a plan. Don't worry, I have a plan. And I remember one of I'm not going to mention him by name because I don't want to call him out, but he constantly was like, "Oh boy, here you go." And then every other player at the table was like, "Why?" Every time he has a plan, it works.
Only when you announce it. If you have a plan but didn't announce you have a plan, then...
But yeah, because the one player was kind of being a Sally spoil sport. And
I liked him, but
I did too.
I also didn't like him because he pulled stuff like that.
But yeah, I just remember all the other players at the table were like, "Why? It means it's gonna work since he told us he had a plan." And I like because he was a bard, but he did do some of the regular bard stuff. But at the same time, he didn't play an instrument. He was a pirate. That's what he did, was he did piratey stuff. He didn't sing songs. He gave inspirational speeches, you know. It was, this was in Pathfinder First Edition, so vicious mockery wasn't a thing. But he would effectively demoralize his opponents by using vicious mockery. Because it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm going to play a song to..." He's like, "Hey, you! Don't trip! Don't trip!"
Yeah, you were an orator. You weren't a musician.
Yep. And so, even though he got to do some of the bard stuff, he wasn't a traditional bard. He was, like I said, he was a pirate. And I remember a character you built for an online game that we never really got to play. Because I like these characters that use rules but play against type. And I remember you built a barbarian who worked for the church. And the idea was, the rage was ripping himself into a religious fervor, rather than like this traditional roar, smash, crush head.
Mechanically, he was a barbarian.
Yes.
He thought he was a paladin.
Yes. And I like characters...
Evil!
I like characters that play against... Because everybody's seen the horny bard, and the angry barbarian that breaks shit, and the rogue that sneaks off at night and causes trouble stealing shit, and the goody two-shoes paladin, and the warlock who's mysterious and like, okay, whatever. We get it. You have no creativity. Are you gonna be a dual-wielding scimitar dark elf next?
I think I've got one more, and then I think that might be enough to go.
Yeah, we
both did two.
Yeah, we can do a super short episode this week.
That's why I have to talk about Phineas Fingers. I've actually the character I've been the most proud of ever. In all fairness, the name Phineas Fingers was taken from the Dragon magazine back in like the 70s, or like 70s and 80s. There was a comic strip called The Adventures of Phineas Fingers, spelled differently, with a different character who was a very craven, cowardly thief, where things kind of make out. My Phineas had an orphan background, did not actually have an official name, but he picked up aliases, and Phineas Fingers was his personal favorite. Spelled differently because he never saw it written. Mm-hmm. When he met the one guy,
okay,
he took that name from him. And so instead of Phineas spelled P-H, that name, Fingers.
Instead of like Phineas and Ferb.
Right. Mine is F-E-N-I-O-N. Yeah. Phineas. I was like... And my Phineas is far less... He's definitely far less cowardly. He's basically more... I am going to weigh people down with the weight of my giant balls. His motivation, claiming himself to be the greatest thief alive, whether anyone's heard of him or not, he will straight out talk to guards and introduce himself that way. But without him actually committing a crime that they can prove, he's just talking shit.
Yeah.
They can't arrest him for it. But anyway... I adopted the old, with his character, I adopted the old Carmen Sandiego idea, where it's far less about stealing things for monetary gain, and it was more about the pride and the fun. The more difficult a job would be, the more excited Phineas is for it. It's like, if you really wanted to set a trap for Phineas, make it, point him to something so difficult it borders on insanity, and he'd want to try to do it. I mean, that is the secret weakness of Phineas. I had to bring that up. I had to bring Phineas up, though, because it does tie to that one player, stick in the mud player from that he was talking about before. We were in a campaign with me playing as Phineas, and that player, although everybody else in the party was kind of neutral and fine with anything Phineas was wanting to do, that player was suspicious of every single thing that Phineas would do.
Right.
And kind of stand in the way of everything Phineas would do. We got into an argument. Afterwards, I talked to the DM in secret. I went like, I want to do a stealth and sleight of hand check to steal from him. It's like, okay, what do you intend to steal? And a single copper piece. He won't even miss it. I guarantee he won't even miss it. I made all the checks. DM rolled on the guy's behalf. And he didn't notice, so he just took one copper piece out of his inventory. I had it. I never brought it up. I never mentioned it. But I had it in my inventory. At any time he started mistreating Phineas, I'd look at my inventory and see that one copper piece. And I won the moral high ground.
So there's a cat off screen I'm playing with because it wouldn't be a table talk if a cat didn't ruin the flow.
Yeah, Elvira's going fishing. But I just had to add that little bit mentioning Phineas because that is a bit of principle on his part. It really didn't hurt him financially to use one copper piece, but every time he can look at that one copper piece like, I won. I got this from you. And doesn't matter if the guy knows or not. Phineas knows.
That actually, just real quick, before I wrap it up, that did remind me of, so when you were DMing the Drake Rose, we were doing the trial thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, yes, it's on trial. So, state your name for the jury. Drake Rose, world famous pirate. It's like, so you admit to being a pirate? yes. And then I remember that one character, it's like, because we were in the Dwarven land, it was the dwarves. Like, so, is it true you are guilty of being an elf? It's like, what?
I did that intentionally. I love that because, well...
I mean, it was clear...
Fantasy racism can be fun.
And it was clearly we were in a kangaroo court because we were trying to do a jailbreak kind of thing.
It was obviously a kangaroo court.
But yeah, it's like...
Guilty of being an elf.
Like, what? What? I just remember the player had basically nothing to say to that. Just like, but yes, because you were talking about the audaciousness. Like, Drake Rose, world famous pirate. Like, the jury, you admitted to being a pirate?
Yeah, Phineas and Drake Rose would have gotten along so well.
They would have. They would have caused so much trouble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, I guess that's it for the night. That's everything. Alright, everybody, goodbye and have fun.